that beautiful trophy wife of a woman and the head of Pata holds a pill bottle in her hand so that everyone in the room can see it.
Gone are the days when we worried about our children smoking weed in the hallways. Alcohol is a small concern now as well. This small bottle right here is our new enemy.
Mrs. Robinson holds the bottle up in the air and waves it around.
These bottles are everywhere. They're in your bathroom cabinets, they are at every pharmacy. Prescription pills are the new hot drug on the market, and our kids are abusing them to get high.
A concerned parent raises her hand to get Mrs. Robinson's attention.
Yes, you.
How are the kids getting all these drugs?
Well, other than in our own homes, I think we have a supplier somewhere in the city. Someone is supplying the kids with more drugs than they would be able to get on their own.
What are we going to do about it?
As president of PATA and a concerned parent myself, I will get to the bottom of this new drug influx, and I will find a way to stop whoever is stealing to our children. Our kids deserve a chance to be successful. Drugs are not the answer to their problems. More studying is. I will get to the bottom of this. I always get my way. West Marin High School will no longer be supplied with all of these prescription pills.
Yeah!
Whatever it takes.
Exterior front of high school, day. Mrs. Robinson sits in her car in the high school parking lot with binoculars, watching all of the students get out of school for the day. She sees Bob and Carol walk out of their car.
Grandparents don't pick up high school students from high school. Suspicious. Suspicious.
She continues to follow them with her binoculars as they meet up with Brad and Chad.
The Taylor boys, Brad and Chad Taylor, are definitely a bad influence in this community.
She watches Carol pull something from her bag and give it to Brad and Chad as they hand Bob the money.
There's no such thing as coincidence. I think I found the culprits.
Interior Mrs. Robinson's kitchen, day. Mrs. Robinson, in her fancy kitchen, stylish as usual, is making a phone call to the police.
Come on, pick up.
Hello, Marin County Police Department.
Hello, my name is Sophia Robinson, and I am calling to report some suspicious behavior at West Marin High School.
Okay, what was the incident, ma'am?
I want to report an elderly couple that is selling what I believe to be prescription drugs to high school students. It is my belief that this couple is supplying West Marin High School with an overflow of prescription drugs.
I beg your pardon, ma'am.
You heard correctly, officer. An elderly couple is slinging drugs at the high school. You need to get in there and bust them.
Interior Police Station, day. Councilman Mike Michaels is sitting in at the police station where he overhears the phone call between Mrs. Robinson and the police officer.
Mrs. Robinson, I am sure you understand that I can't just go after an elderly couple because you believe they are selling drugs on a high school campus. Do you know their names? Or have a description of what they look like?
Mrs. Robinson is screaming into the phone, but her words are muffled and distorted for the audience. Police Officer 2, who is sitting with Mike Michaels, starts chuckling.
What's happening over there?
We've been having a lot of complaints from Mrs. Robinson lately. She seems to think West Marin High School is having a major problem with prescription drug abuse. President of the PATA, and without the eye candy herself present, my patient is running a little thin.
Well, where would these kids be getting these kind of drugs?
Well, councilman, typically they get them from their parents or grandparents' medicine cabinets, but for some reason Mrs. Robinson suspects some kind of illegal drug selling ring, which of course is headed by an elderly couple. It's not that big of a deal.
Who'd want to sling prescription drugs?
They both laugh together.
Exactly. It's not exactly that big booming business. Let the kids get high of what they want. We only really bust them for driving under the influence of alcohol.
The men go silent as the police officer finishes up his conversation with Mrs. Robinson.
Okay, Mrs. Robinson. I've taken down your information and we will continue with our investigations. Thank you for being such a dedicated informant.
She calls us at least twice a week. She's pretty determined.
Could I have her contact information?
Oh, yeah, sure, Mike. You interested in her? She's a fox, man.
As councilman, I do believe it's my duty to address the concerns of our citizen. This is purely for business purposes.
If you say so. Let me pull her files for you.
Police Officer 2 goes into the other room to grab Mrs. Robinson's file as Police Officer comes back into the room.
Oh, Mike, you're here. Sorry you had to hear that crazy conversation. And thanks for always checking in on us officers. We really do appreciate it.
I love the boys in blue. Oh, and I will be giving this Miss Robinson a call.
Interior Cafe, day. Mike Michaels sits at a table alone waiting for Mrs. Robinson to show up. Mrs. Robinson walks into the cafe and all eyes immediately focus on her. She walks up to Mike Michaels.
Mike Michaels?
He stands up as she approaches.
Miss Robinson, I had no idea you'd be so beautiful.
Well, thank you, Councilman. I recognized you from all of your articles in the paper. You're an important man.
Mike Michaels smiles to himself. He's obviously enjoying being in Mrs. Robinson's presence. She takes a seat and he pushes her in and sits down as well.
So, Miss Robinson, as I was saying on the phone, I was at the police station the other day and overheard a conversation between you and an officer regarding drugs in Marin County. Can you please explain the situation?
I would love to. So, I am the president of PADA at West Marin High School, where 2 of my children are current high school students, and I have noticed an influx of prescription drug abuse in the lives of all of their friends. My kids don't do drugs, but they have told me multiple times that the prescription drugs are everywhere right now, and I have decided that it's my duty, if no one else's, to get to the bottom of the situation. What kind of parent would I be if I didn't care about the welfare of our